He dunked like Kobe. He moved like Jordan. He was built like Shaq. His strength matched that of Charles Barkley. Zion Williamson was poetry in motion. Watching him hoop was like watching Mozart compose music and Picasso do art. He was rated as a 5-star recruit by 247 Sports and ESPN. In the 2019 NBA draft, the hype surrounding Zion rivaled that of LeBron James' pre-draft era. Oh god. It was a sure bet that this young kid was going to be among the top 10 picks in the 2019 NBA draft. However, Zion didn't just secure a spot in the top 10, he soared straight to the number 1 position. Damn. Dressed in a white suit, sitting with his family, Zion left the NBA awestruck as he became the number 1 pick by the New Orleans Pelicans on 2019 NBA draft night. The scenes were unreal, but so was Zion and his basketball finesse. The 19-year-old had already proved himself in high school. Half of America was obsessed with his videotapes and reels. It was like a dream, and Zion was living the dream. But guys, you know what's the worst thing about dreams? You eventually wake up. Well, Zion's case was no different. Since his drafting, he experienced some of the highest highs imaginable for a player his age, and his lows were about as low as they could get for a sportsman. Zion was a player that everyone wanted to succeed. He could have changed the fate of the Pelicans, just like what Jordan did for the Bulls and Curry did for the Warriors. The media was going crazy about him. For a moment, it seemed the NBA wasn't about basketball, it was all about Zion Williamson. I mean, even Jordan's return to the Bulls wasn't as hyped as Zion's debut. Every analyst, every diva, every expert, they were all discussing the young boy from North Carolina. And to be honest, this lad had the dog in him. He was like a freight train that moved like a Formula 1 car. In a nutshell, Zion was the perfect recipe for a class baller. It wasn't just his brute strength and power, he had the handles and his agility was extraordinary. They were coupled with his breathtaking first step, his unparalleled speed to power conversion attacking the basket, his refined finishing ability, and his unselfishness. More than anything, Zion was a beast. In many ways, you could compare him to Shaq, except that Zion was much more athletic. Weighing 284 pounds with a height of 6'6", my boy was simply too big and too quick to be stopped, even against the best players in the world. Courtesy of all this, the organization knew that if they capitalized on the colossal potential of Zion, they were all set to become championship contenders. Some people are naturally blessed with some special talent. For Zion, the special talent was basketball. He always dreamed of becoming a basketball star, and it all started at the tender age of 5 when Zion planned that basketball was his future. By the time he hit 9, Zion had committed himself to a rigorous training routine, waking up at 5 every morning. He was training like pros at an age where he was meant to enjoy and play with his friends. Zion was busy hooping at the gym. During all this time, he was being coached by his mother, Sharonda. Zion was always fearless, and eventually, he became so good that he competed with boys who were much older than him. But Zion wasn't just competing, he was outplaying every other kid that stood in his way. When he got into high school, he was unbeatable, averaging 24.4 points per game. In his sophomore year, he was averaging a whopping tally of 28.3 points per game and led his school to the regional title for the first time in its history. In 2016, he was the leading scorer in the NBPA. Later that year, he won the Under Armour Showcase Dunk Contest, which was huge. This boy was so bright. And all of these attributes got him the best since MJ shouts, even during his childhood. Williams finished his high school career in 2018 as one of the most accomplished prep basketball players in South Carolina history. He won 3 state championships and scored more than 50 points on multiple occasions. In his senior year, Zion was named South Carolina Mr. Basketball and stood as a runner-up in Mr. Basketball USA. Jeez. All these performances were good enough to impress North Carolina coach Roy Williams, who told Zion, "You're one of the best high school players I've seen since Michael Jordan." You know, people can compare you to Kobe or LeBron, but to get compared to the Black Jesus, that too at such a young age, this was extraordinary. Even Kevin Durant couldn't hold back his admiration and referred to Zion as once-in-a-generation type athlete. Zion had that spark in him. In fact, one of his videos got over 50,000 views in 5 days, man. What was he cooking? Well, this particular 360-degree dunk led SportsCenter's top 10 plays on ESPN and propelled the 16-year-old Williamson to stardom on social media. So yeah, bro got the fame way before his NBA drafting. His dunks were all over social media, and his popularity was to the extent that even Drake wore a Zion Williamson jersey. Thank God Drake didn't name an album after Zion, cause man, it would have got cancelled like Zion's 2021 to 2022 NBA season. As for the college, Zion received scholarship offers from across the country, but he chose Duke, and in the long run, this became one of the best decisions of his life. Damn. His lone season at Duke was unlike anything college basketball had experienced in this generation. He captivated everyone from President Obama to Jay-Z to Floyd Mayweather and many others. Such was his popularity and fame that during one regular season game, his Nike shoe popped open, straining his ankle. This was seen by millions. Nike took a hit, losing $1.1 billion in stock overnight. $1 billion! Oh my god! Concluding his freshman season with 33 appearances, he showcased an impressive performance, averaging 22.6 points, 8.9 rebounds, 2.1 steals, and 1.8 blocks per game. His shooting prowess was nothing short of extraordinary, boasting a 68% field goal percentage, leading the ACC, ranking second in the NCAA Division I, and marking the highest ever field goal percentage by a freshman. Oh goodness. Among some of the prestigious accolades, Zion was named ACC Player of the Year, ACC Athlete of the Year, and ACC Rookie of the Year. He set the single-game school scoring record for freshmen in January 2019, claimed ACC Rookie of the West accolade 5 times, earned AP Player of the Year, Sporting News College Player of the Year recognition, and won the Wayman Tisdale Award. Yeah, it's a long list of prestigious awards, but we're not done yet. In addition, Zion joined Kevin Durant and Anthony Davis as one of the only freshmen in history to collect 500 points, 50 steals, and 50 blocks in a season. Jeez. Now, here's a spoiler. Zion's step up in the NBA was nothing like his college and high school career. Guys, 148 games in 5 seasons, bro missed more games than any other number 1 pick in NBA history. But why did Zion tank? Was he a scam or a college basketball bully? It was on October 13, 2019 when the Pelicans announced that the NBA's number 1 pick, America's beloved Zion, wasn't going to start the season as he had suffered from a torn meniscus and he was not fit to play. This was shocking. A seemingly fit, young, and healthy star player suffered from an injury out of nowhere. But this torn meniscus wasn't something that resulted from sudden trauma, it was gradual. Over the years, as Zion exerted himself and gained more and more weight, his knees had to bear some more strain, and once it reached a threshold, the meniscus snapped and Zion was out. I remember when Zion suffered from a sprain during that shoe-breaking incident at Duke, and many NBA stars wanted him to rest. But the boy was so high on adrenaline that he continued his balling ventures, getting more and more fame and praise. Jeez. Well, he did pay the price as Jay Morant took away the Rookie of the Year. Too bad. But then, Zion worked out his injuries, and in the next season, boy showed everyone that the sky was not the limit. Jeez. He played 61 games and averaged 27 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists. During the season, Williamson tied Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's record for the longest streak of at least 20-point games and 50% shooting. For once, it felt that the Zion which had every basketball fan going crazy was back, and this time, he was going to turn the tides for the Pelicans. Was he? Because at the end of the regular season, once again Zion was sitting out due to knee soreness. Although it didn't matter because the Pelicans were out of the title contention, it still was a bit of concerning given the fact that Zion was only at the start of a very long NBA career. At a point in time when the Pelicans had tied their hopes to Zion, their worst nightmare came true. In the 2021 offseason, the number 1 pick suffered from a Jones fracture, which is a stress fracture caused due to excessive strain and weight on the 5th metatarsal. Jeez, excessive weight, yeah? You heard that right! Damn! Owing to the fracture, Zion had to undergo surgery, and according to the Pelicans, he was expected to make a comeback in 2 weeks. The question is, did he? His timeline should get him back on the court in time for the regular season. That would be our hope and our view, and we're very optimistic about what that looks like. Pelicans Executive Vice President of Basketball Operations, David Griffin, said at the time. In November 2021, the team said that the player had been cleared to make a full comeback to team activities. However, just a month later, there was no sign of Zion, and a team statement said that he was suffering from soreness in his injured foot, and hence he had to be reevaluated in 4 to 6 weeks. The year changed. It was 2022, but Zion's fate didn't. The team confirmed that Zion was in rehab and continued to progress, but soon the Pelicans realized this was it. They announced that Zion wasn't returning to the 2021 to 2022 season. He missed an entire season, but one thing that was even more shocking was the fact that instead of losing weight, Zion had gained it. Jeez. This season-long gap had taken its toll on Zion, because it's always hard to sit out waiting for a miracle recovery. For Zion, the wait was unending, and during this time, my man binged on Netflix and ate all he could. Soda, seafood, lamb, and whatever else he got his hands on. There was immense criticism, and the fans were pissed. I mean, it was no surprise because when Zion came in for training, he weighed over 300 pounds. Holy God! Bro thought he was going in for sumo wrestling in medieval Japan, huh? But the Pelicans were still ready to bet on Zion, and they offered him a 5-year rookie extension with the team worth $193 million, which could reach a maximum of $231 million. Oh my goodness. But the most important part of this contract was the weight clause. Holy God, are you kidding me? Which was as follows. The weight clause states Zion must keep the sum of his weight and body fat percentage below 295. If not, the guaranteed money in his contract decreases. This contract meant that the Pelicans did not trust Zion, right? Because why else would they sign a weight clause? According to some critics, his sheer weight was one of the reasons behind his injuries. Zion was brutally trolled and even called Shaq a baby man. This was harsh. After all this criticism, the big boy felt that he had to stop drinking 4 cans of soda before every meal and change his diet. He got himself a personal chef, tried controlling his mammoth appetite, and even lost weight. Man, Zion is just motivating me. I must lose weight too, huh? But the 2022 to 2023 season didn't go as planned. Zion was again setting in and out due to recurring injuries, which included a hamstring injury that diminished all hopes for the Pelicans. They were out of the championship contention again. Even though later on Zion became fully fit, he wasn't ready to play, and this is what he had to say. Physically, I'm fine. Now it's just a matter of when I feel like Zion. I know the atmosphere I'd be entering based on the playoff experience, so now it's just a matter of when I feel like Zion. Jeez, they're paying you millions, but you don't feel like Zion? Oh God. Well, actions have consequences, and when the Pelicans gave Zion an extension, they constructed the contract very carefully. According to The Athletic's Mike Verkanoff, Zion Williamson triggered a clause in his contract after playing only 29 games last season. Starting from the 2025 to 26 season, his contract will no longer be guaranteed, meaning the New Orleans Pelicans have the option to waive Williamson after the 2024 to 25 season with no financial consequences. That's some clever planning by the Pelicans, because otherwise, this would have been one of the worst extensions in NBA history. Although Zion hasn't worked enough on his weaknesses, the 2023 to 24 season has been by far his most successful one since the 2020 to 21 season in terms of number of games played. He has averaged around 21.9 points, 5.7 rebounds, and 3.8 assists per game this season, which isn't bad at all. The Pelicans have managed his workload. He is having more game time and sitting out less. He hasn't been injured and has shown intent in a lot of games. As for the transfer, for the Pelicans, Zion is an asset, and they would not be replacing him. Rather, they can't replace him at all, because after him, what other options do they have? So yeah, at least in the near future, Zion is there to stay, but just hope he doesn't get injured. This was it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Until next time, take care.